Hello everyone, welcome. This is going to be lesson 6 of Beginner's Java, and today we are going to be talking about um, if statements. So if statements are how we finally start to give you the building blocks to create more complex programs. So what is an if statement? And the way that it's commonly referred to, or sometimes you'll hear it referred to, is if else, or sometimes if then else, or occasionally you'll sometimes hear people say if then else then. And so I'll kind of break down what it means, but that's actually, these are all great ways to think about it. Okay, let's begin by taking a hypothetical scenario, right? We're going to say system.out.println. There's a bug hovering right above where I was currently typing. That's wild. Okay, so we're going to say system.out.println. Enter the amount of sales for employee 1. We'll do something like that. Hang on. Let's see. Tiny little spider on my webcam. That's tiny. Anyways, sorry. It was just very distracting. Okay, so enter the amount of sales for employee 1. And we'll create a variable, but first we have to include scanner. So we'll call this scan equals, new scanner system.in. And once we've created our scan variable, or our scan object, so we'll create an, let's do a double. So we'll say double sales equals, I didn't format the way I like to, double sales equals scan.next double. And so once we do that, we're going to get some kind of number in sales. Now, here's what we want to do. We're going to take an if statement, just like that. And so this is what an empty if statement looks like. So we place an if, an open and close set of parentheses, and then an open and close set of squiggly brackets. Now, inside of this set of parentheses, we need to tell it what it's looking for. And so we'll say if sales is greater than 50,000. And we'll assume that means US dollars or Indian rupees or whatever. We'll create this second value, and we'll say double bonus equals 100, right? So that's going to just be the base bonus, right? So what we'll do here, actually let's create 2 variables just to make it a little harder. So we'll have base bonus, and then we'll say double total bonus. Okay. So if sales are greater than 50,000, we'll say let's do total bonus equals base bonus plus sales multiplied by 0.05. So they get 5% of their total sales, right? So that's not bad. And in case this isn't immediately obvious, I don't work in sales. I don't actually know if that would be a good commission. But here's what we'll do. We'll come down here and we'll say system.out.println, and we'll say the total bonus is, and then we'll print out total bonus. All right. And we'll just set it to 0 so the compiler won't yap at us. So just a quick little bit of vocabulary to teach you guys. When you create a variable and set it at the same time, it's called initialization, or well, when you set a variable, it is called initialization. When you have an if statement, this is not necessarily, like, this only happens if this is true. So if sales are greater than 50,000, this is true. But if it's not, then we would have come down here and total bonus would not have been set, so it wouldn't have known what to do. So all right, we're going to run this, and when we run this, it's going to ask us how much the person made, and they'll say 80,000. Okay, and so they made $4,100 because sales multiplied by 0.05 apparently equaled 4,000, and their base bonus was $100. So, okay, cool. Now, just to bring in that if-else logic, so just before we go on, you can have an if without an else, as I just demonstrated, right? So always keep that in mind. There's a lot of times I see people create an if and then they'll create an else, and the else isn't necessarily needed. So don't always create an else. Secondly, sometimes we do want to do some additional processing. So when we have an else, there's no need for a set of parentheses here. So we can say else, let's say base bonus, or let's just say total bonus equals base bonus plus sales, oh, I misspelled that, or I didn't capitalize it right, plus sales multiplied by 0.01. We want to give them 1% of their commissions if they didn't sell at least 50,000. I don't know, maybe it's a car lot or something. So if you didn't sell more than one car in a month, you're not doing too good. So we'll say that somebody sold 40,000 and they made 500 bucks. So not very good. They got 400 bucks from this little point here, and then they got that computed and spit out to us. So to show you guys, because I really like showing people what's happening here, we'll set up a breakpoint just so you can see what's going on internally with the computer. So, or with our code. So we create the scan object, and don't worry about all that. That's not really what we need to concern ourselves with right now. But when we come up here, so we create our double, and this is going to pop us over to the console, and we have to enter in, let's do 40, or actually let's do 50,000. And so what do we think is going to happen here? Because this is saying less or greater than 50,000. Does that include 50,000? And the answer here is, so we're going to step over, so that creates our base bonus and total bonus variables. And so now sales is equal to 50,000. Exactly, right on the nose. Not 50,000.1, exactly 50,000. And the answer is no. It has to be greater than. Now, there is the option to make it greater than or equal to, just by adding in that equal sign. And once we add in that equal sign, then this would go the other way. So I'll run it again in just a second to show you guys, but we can see here that the bonus is, it's broken down. So sales is 50,000, base bonus is 100, and we come out here with this total bonus at the end of 600, and we can run that and see exactly that. So when we stop this, now that I've changed this while it was running to be greater than or equal, I'll actually just actually I should debug it for you guys. So I'll debug it, and when I do, we're going to hit the button a few times, and then say 50,000, and come back into our debugger, and step over. And so now, when we arrive at the same decision point, where if is deciding whether or not we go into this top or bottom half, now that it's equal to 50,000, it will go into that top half. And so our person gets an extra $2,000 comparatively. So, cool. That's how basic if statements work. Now, the thing that we need to keep in mind about if statements is that this is a very simple example. I had an example when I was in college where my teacher went over how to tell if somebody had an ear infection, and it was this crazy if statement with if statements inside of it. Now, that's exactly where I'm going to, by the way. So let's say that we have, and let me comment out basically all this stuff. And I'll just come up here and do this. So let's say we had, let me put this on a different line so it's a little more obvious. So, okay, let's say that we had a case where we had int sales, and I'm just going to set the number this time equals to 75,000. Int employee type equals, or actually, let's change this to char, just because I can, equals b, and let's do int bonus equals 0. Actually, let's not set that to anything, just to show you guys we don't have to initialize it. And so we can set up a statement here that's going to be a little bit different. So let's set this up to say if sales are greater than 50,000, so this is going to be true. And we'll have an else down here that we'll fill out in just a minute. And we can say if employee type equals, and if employee type equals A, and we'll say bonus equals sales multiplied by 0.05, and then we'll say if employee type equals B, bonus equals sales multiplied by 0.1. And this is complaining because that's very likely to become a double. So let's change these to double. Okay, so once we do that, let's just say the else, if somebody does really poor, we say bonus equals sales multiplied by 0.01. And that should actually never be hit right now because we declared what sales is going to be. The user can't enter it. Alright, so system.out.println, and we're going to say the bonus is, or the, yeah, sure, the bonus is plus, and then we'll toss in bonus. Alright. Really? I don't see a way to get through this without there being a bonus. Okay, that's IntelliJ just giving us trouble. That's fine. Alright, so sure. We'll run this, and when we run it, we can see that the bonus is 7,500, which is 1/10 of 75,000, which tells us that it goes in here. Now, something else we can do here is we can have multiple different things acting on one specific if statement, right? So we can do something like this and say, and sales are less than 75,000, right? So what happens now if we run this? And the answer is, our person gets screwed. They sold too much. They sold exactly 75,000. So now they get this $750 bonus rather than a $7,500 bonus because they sold 1 penny more than they should have. And so going beyond that, now we can get into something a little more complicated, which is else if. And else if is when we add in a second if that basically says, well, if this isn't true, but we're still kind of looking at the same thing, we can say sales is greater than 75,000. And let's say greater than or equal to, so we don't have a weird thing. Actually, you know what? Let's leave that off for a minute. And we'll just kind of copy paste all of this, and we'll change the values in here slightly. So we'll say 0.10 and 0.15. So if we have a look at this, we actually have an error in our code. And I like this example so much that I'm not going to fix it right away. So if we look, we say if something's less than 75,000, do one thing. If something's greater than 75,000, do another thing. The case that we didn't handle is if something is equal to 75,000. We're currently not handling it, right? So if we go to run, this actually comes out the other side at the else statement. It doesn't go kind of where we'd think it would, because we go, okay, well, it's greater than 50,000, but it's 75,000, so it should come in here. And this is why we need greater than or equal to. So I'm going to say intentional bug should be greater than or equal to on line below. And so this is a great example of why you need to be in a position where you can say, all right, have I covered every case? So just before we move on, I just want to quickly review some other things that you can do with this type of logic. So obviously I've covered greater than, less than. There's less than or equal to. So there's, I'll just list them off. There's greater than, less than. So this is obviously less than. You have double equals for equal to. You have that, which is not, which you'll use with booleans. So that's like so it's like saying not true. And then there's all these other ones, right? So you have less than or equal, or let's start with greater than or equal to, so we have it roughly the same thing. Greater than / equal to. And there's less than or equal to, which is same thing. And then we have not equal to. And then there's some inclusion operators. So as you can see, we used and here. So and means, or 2 ampersands means and, meaning more than one condition must be met. And I hesitate to say true, because your condition might be that something is false. And so, and then there's or. So this is the OR operator. So I'm going to leave this one off here. I know that this is a lot to get in your head all at once. I apologize for the video being a little bit on the longer side, but if you have any questions, and I'm absolutely sure that this one's going to cause a storm of questions, please feel free to post a comment down below, or comment on the Reddit thread or the Reddit help thread, and I'll be happy to help you out. All right, thanks a lot, guys, and like, subscribe, share. See ya.